Hello, everybody. My name is Hollis Citron, and so happy that you're here with us. I apologize. We just had a little bit of a glitch, and I apologize if I just shut anybody out of that. So, anyway, moving forward, welcome. So, again, Hollis Citron with I Am Creative and I Am Creative Publishing, and you are in for a treat today. I have this incredible person and author. Her name is Rachel Burr, and I am going to tell you a little bit about her, and then we're going to bring her up to the stage. So here we go. Rachel Burr is an executive coach, people expert, and undisputed head of the Self Entertainment Committee. Rachel loves coaching and for 20 plus years has helped people unpack who they are at their core and step into the best versions of themselves. Rachel is also passionate about the need to never take ourselves too seriously. She cannot imagine a world without humor and laughter, mostly because she would not be allowed to live there. When Rachel isn't writing, coaching, or spending time with her husband and or cats, she enjoys musical theater, travel, wine, food, learning languages, and telling people she also owns a banjo, fun fact, even though she hasn't played it in 10 years. Ultimately, Rachel is driven by a strong sense of purpose. Her deepest desire is to know that even one life has breathed easier because she has lived. That and to have the freedom to work and live from anywhere that there's Wi-Fi. So let's just bring Rachel up to the stage. Rachel, so happy that you're here.
Hey, Hollis.
Hey, Rachel. So all of that being said, we're just going to dive right into this because who you are and in just meeting you a few months ago and this book right here, everybody, Butterfly Goo, the Down and Dirty Truth of Transformation. Your bio, I said right before we came on, I have to read her bio because it really, the humor and who she is just kind of bleeds like right through that.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? If you can't show up as exactly who you are, then what are you doing?
And it's that authenticity that's
Yeah.
truly, it is. It's
I'm not
like
really sure I have a choice on the authenticity. I don't know if I could even reel it back. So,
some people are really good at it. It's just like you can put on this show, you can put on this facade, but that's not you at all, is it?
no, it's not. No, don't even want to put the energy in that to try. It's a waste.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's just dive right in. And can you please tell us like this title? Where did the title come from?
I love this title. So, for me, one of the big parts of this book is really dispelling the myth of transformation. We have this idea that, it's this beautiful thing, it's magic, whatever it is. Obviously, it's curated to perfection on social media, but that's not the reality. And so, my goal with this book is to help make transformation more understandable, more actionable, and therefore more achievable. So the title comes from I've always resonated with butterflies. They're beautiful, obviously, and they are the pinnacle of transformation. The problem is that their beauty distracts us from the truly arduous journey that is transformation. People confuse the idea that when the butterfly emerges from the cocoon, that's transformation, and it's not. That is the result of transformation. And so, really looking at the caterpillar spinning its cocoon,
Mm.
going into this process, and when it's in the cocoon, it dissolves into this green gelatinous goo, right? Now, one of the things I love about it is that caterpillar has everything it needs when it goes into the cocoon to create that butterfly. And it is not creating something from nothing. Everything that is the butterfly is already the caterpillar. It's just about taking those same building blocks and building something different. So, butterfly goo is really about yes, let's aspire to the transformation. Let's look forward to where we want to be, who we want to be, and let's not fool ourselves that that's magic or that it's easy. The goo is not meant to discourage people. It is meant to make it reasonable And so that when somebody comes across a gooey swamp, which is part of transformation, they won't think, I can't do this. This isn't supposed to happen. This is supposed to be easy, right? Maybe I'm not enough. And it's like, no, you are. So instead, strap on those like hip waders and get into the swamp and get going to get where you want to be.
So many things that you just said in there. And I write while you're talking. So if people see me kind of looking over here, it's because I need to write, I need to capture it so I don't forget it. And I want to welcome the people here live. Thank you so much for being here. Please, in the comments, if I can read them here, please say where you're listening in from. We'd love to hear. So you said beauty distracts us. The beauty of the actual butterfly distracts. And the caterpillar to the butterfly, I like how you really pointed out that that whole process is the result, that there is that gooiness in that whole middle of it. I
Yep.
mean, the gooiness is like that gooey, the descriptive word, like they're like gooey swamp and that whole imperfection, but it had everything that it needed when it went in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, is that powerful?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we have everything that we need.
We do. It is so often, whether it's in my leadership coaching or just every day, people seem to think they need to put themselves into a cookie cutter. Like there is this thing out there that if I'm going to be a leader or I'm going to be X or I'm going to be Y, that we push ourselves into this cookie cutter. And I was saying just this morning to a client, it's like, when you think about the cookie cutter, let's say it's a little star. And you push it into the dough and you get all this nice little line of perfect little stars that look exactly the same. But when we push ourselves into that cookie cutter, just like the dough, it leaves all of this goodness outside. We lose parts of ourselves. So it is not about turning ourselves into something we're not. It's about bringing the best of ourselves to who we want to be, to where we want to be.
So for those of you just joining in, again, welcome, welcome. Actually, I want to give you the privilege, Rachel, of saying what's happening with your book right now, because I don't want to say it. The words need to come out of your mouth.
I'm very excited. So the book is on pre-order. We're going to be launching first the ebook, and then a couple of weeks we'll launch the paperback and the hardcover. So Tuesday is when the book will finally launch. It'll be available. If you pre-order, obviously it'll drop into your Kindle on Tuesday. Very excited. Going to kick off the week with some, interviews and some posts and just doing some things that are fun, and really want the interviews, for example, not to just be about me, but helping find the transformation for other people who have already had a preview sneak peek of the book have agreed to talk with me to talk about their own transformation, what resonated with the book, and what they'd like people to know. Because ultimately, while technically this is my story, it's everybody's story. Everybody has their journey. Everybody gets to be the hero or heroine of that journey. And everybody gets to choose their own adventure.
Well, that's the perfect segue to what I was going to say next, which is take us on a little journey about you and who you are and what inspired you to share your story. Because I can tell you, I can't tell you enough, like how many people are like, oh, I'm going to write a book. I want to share my story. But even though there are a lot of books out there, the amount of people that actually step forward and do it is a small percentage. It
And
really
I,
is in the
yeah,
population of the world.
and I was one of those people for a very long time. I think I probably wanted to write a book my entire life. I will say that when I first started, I had one topic and that didn't feel right. And then as I grew my professional career, I thought, okay, I should write a book, a business book. I should write about coaching. I should. All the little red flags that say, you know what? I don't think you're on the right path. And through a lot of process and a lot of work and, going to writing workshops and, practice and listening to podcasts or hiring a coach or doing all these things, something eventually clicked. And I realized that is not the book I'm supposed to be writing. And I also realized that the power of my story is my voice, my humor, making it relatable. Because I think one of the things that stops authors is they think, well, what could I say that hasn't already been said?
Mm,
And you know what?
so true.
Yeah, that's true. But it's never been said from your perspective, with your insights, your voice. And when I was finally able to let go of whatever I thought that cookie cutter was, it just poured out of me. And I felt like this book has been trying to write itself through me for a very long time. And when I finally gave up fighting it, here it is.
I'm taking a minute just to take that in, and I think it's important for other people too also. Because what you were doing is you were actually listening, and it's those I should, like, well, I do this. I'm a business coach, so I should write a book about this. I should
Mm-hmm.
do this. I should do that. But as you were saying, it's when we have this awareness, we're like, it didn't feel right.
Mm-mm. No. Yeah, trying to put yourself in that box. And I always like to say, it's funny. There's two things. One, our brains are set up for boxes. Do you fit in this box? Do you fit in that box? Just the way we're wired. And for me, it's I can't stop you from trying to put me in a box, but hell if I'm going to make it easy for you. The bigger challenge for all of us is when we put ourselves in a box. And maybe we don't even realize we're doing it. And that is far more detrimental when we try to limit ourselves by what we think we're capable of. Because honestly, we have no idea what we're capable of.
So many stories, so many limiting beliefs, so many
Mm.
issues of worthiness, and blah de blah de blah that all tend to get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree?
Absolutely. And I talk in the book about the red flags, the little kind of whispers in your head that say, you know what? Are you sure you're on the right path? Are you sure this is where you want to go? And the problem is that a lot of times we get on a path because we see it. It's there in front of us. It's something we know. Either it's been, you know, given to us by a school, like a college or a trade school. Our parents maybe have a specific path. It's easy to get on. But Joseph Campbell, famous writer, philosopher, who I quote in the book and kind of borrow from him, said, if you go into the woods and you see a path, that's not your path. And one of the things that I emphasize in the book is we don't find our path, we build it. So if we're sitting there waiting for some fairy godmother to show up and reveal our path, it is a waste. We have to start our journey from where we are and we build from there. And yes, it's going to be messy. And yes, it's not going to be a straight path. I mean, at least mine wasn't. I'm guessing most people's isn't, but it's
Mhm.
ours to build.
So I don't think I heard you answer say this, but so what was that light bulb moment for you that was just like in all of these shoulds, I should write a book about that. What was the light bulb moment of this is the book that I'm going to write?
I
Was there
remember,
one?
yeah, well, yes and no. So, one of the things I like to talk about in the book too, and it doesn't say we don't have epiphanies, but it's also, again, about the illusion of epiphanies. For me, the analogy, and I think a lot in analogies because I feel like we can relate and we connect to them,
Mhm.
it's like a combination lock that, you can hear the click, click, click. And if you don't get the clicks or you don't turn, kind of try to get the combination, the lock doesn't spring open. When you get all the right clicks, when you put in the work, and all of a sudden there's that eureka, that aha moment. Sometimes we think it comes out of, again, nowhere, but it came through all of those little clicks. So when I look at the kind of that aha moment, like I said, I had been writing, I had been going to workshops, I had been listening to podcasts, I had stopped writing, which is not so good, but sometimes you got to take a step back.
Mhm.
Hired coaches, etc. Click, 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 click. And suddenly I don't know exactly what it was, but it all came together. I was actually visiting my in laws in France. I do find that being outside your normal routine environment, sometimes having to speak another language that you're not so good at, that it forces you to think differently. And whatever it was in that moment, that it was this aha, and I felt it open. And I went and I sat down at the desk, and essentially I didn't stop writing for 9 months. So, what was that? What did the clicks come together? Was there a final tipping point that finally opened the lock? I'm sure there was, but I know what fed into that. I don't know how much of what helped, but sometimes you just have to try a bunch of things to get you there.
Yes. Yes to all of that, because it's that feeling, it's the awareness, and it's the I could not agree more with that whole idea of removing yourself, getting yourself out of your routine, getting yourself
Mhm.
out of your regular to then I mean, so many how many times have you heard people say, "Oh my god, I went in the shower and all of a sudden I got an idea."
Yep.
Oh, just like you said, like I traveled or I went for a run or I'm listening to music and all of a sudden something dropped in because you're not fixated. You're not like making that box of
Yeah.
asking the how, the how, the how, the how. All of a sudden, it's just like you're open, and then there you have space.
Yeah. And again, going back to the caterpillar, it's already in you. Yes, do we sometimes need to go out and find information, have experiences to open things up? It is. But to your point, whether it's travel, whether it's, just going to a coffee shop, whether it's getting in the shower, when we let go and stop trying to force it sometimes,
Yeah.
it opens us up, and it was there all along. It just either didn't have access to our consciousness, it didn't have access to our language center. So it's so important to not think that the only way we're going to get there is to continue to drive and drive and drive. And sometimes letting go is exactly what we need to open up.
Mhm. So, could you give us a little sneak peek and share with us one of the mistakes that you shared in your book? Just a little bit.
Well, we might as well start at the beginning. So, one of my mistakes, and this is going to sound so just weird to a lot of people, was I was about halfway through a graduate program in clinical psychology. And to all of my folks out there who went on to finish their PhDs, love you and hope you're exactly where you want to be. I, however, was halfway through, loved the learning, loved being with my classmates, loved sitting at the coffee shop and just talking philosophy. And just that tiny little problem is that I was absolutely miserable. I knew I didn't want to do what this degree was going to let me do. I didn't like research. I didn't want to teach. I didn't want to be a clinical practitioner, but I didn't know how to get off the path. So I
Mm,
stayed and I just kept pushing forward. And I tried to find ways to make it fit, not get off, not explore something else, but make it fit. And I turned myself into a really good pretzel along the way. And I kept thinking, I don't know where else to go. And I didn't have people around me that could really help me because I like to describe it. It's like being on this train, a circus train. It's, fun, it's entertaining. Like I said, coffee shops, philosophy, and you're headed to some destination. And I hadn't even considered where that was when I got on the train. And there are two kind of groups of people on the train. There are either those folks who are so excited to get to the destination, they can't wait. And there's another group of folks like me that want to get off the train, but don't know how. And neither of those groups could help me get off the train. Some folks didn't want to, and some were just as stuck as I was.
mm,
And I just kept getting smaller and smaller. The comfort zone we talk about, it is not static. The problem is the farther you work your way into the comfort zone, the smaller it gets. And it took me to hear some of those clicks, or as I like to say, that the fear of the unknown it was starting to get outweighed by the dread of the same. The idea that this was going to be my life. And specifically, it doesn't matter what the life was, what the path, it wasn't mine. And I kept trying to make it work. And as you'll read in the book, I finally figured out how to get out. And that was just the start of the journey.
That kind of goes into what you mentioned about that whole thing with the path. If you can see the path, it's not it's
It's
not
not yours.
yours.
Yeah. Now, some people have a better vision for where they're going on their path. Great. They have a better, kind of idea of where the stops might be along the way. I still would encourage people to hold that loosely. You don't know what's going to show up. You don't know what might take you on a detour, an exit ramp, or whatever. Maybe your line will be very straight. But I also want to encourage people that you don't have to know exactly where you're going, right? You don't have to know specifically that you want to end up here in 5 years. I hate that interview question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? You know what? If I can tell you exactly where I see myself, either I'm delusional, I'm, I'm hopeful, or I just know how to work an interview. So I don't want people to say, oh, well, I'll start when I know where I'm going. That's not how this works. You start, and the path will continue to reveal itself. You'll continue to build it, and it may be extremely circuitous, up, down, around. Sometimes you got to have some switchbacks in there, and it's all part of the process. And it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It just means you're building your path.
So everybody, I think this is the perfect space to kind of end this on. um, Start your path and it will reveal itself. So everybody, do not procrastinate. Do not be like, oh, well, I'm not sure. What should I do? Da 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 da. Or staying stuck in that space where you know it doesn't feel good, just like you're saying, but you don't know what to do. It's starting
Mm-hmm.
to take those steps.
Mm-hmm. It is. And even the revealing part is a lot of times brick by brick. We will hit up against roadblocks. And sometimes those roadblocks are just opportunities for us to break through. And sometimes they really are steering us in a different direction. So even when I say it reveals itself, it's not magic. You're building it, you're experimenting, you're trying some things that work for you, others won't. It's okay. That's the point. It's okay. It's okay that this is gooey. It's okay that this is your transformational journey. You are the hero or heroine of that journey, and you are in control of the road that you want to build.
So, this book, Butterfly Goo, The Down and Dirty Truth of Transformation, is on pre order right now as we speak. Go onto
Mm-hmm.
Amazon, wherever your Amazon is in the world, and pre order that, and it will drop to you on this Tuesday,
Mm-hmm.
January 21st. Rachel and I are going to be having a launch at 9 a.m. Eastern to celebrate the official Kindle launch and opening to the world. At 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific, and all
Mm-hmm.
those Central Mountain, all of those other times we can figure out. So I can say, and then I'm going to leave it to Rachel to end. I am so grateful to be on this journey with you. I am so grateful that this book has been birthed into the world because with who you are as a person and your humor and your vision, it gives people the opportunity to be themselves.
Absolutely. And that is the case throughout all this book. I'm there to share my journey, and I'm hoping through my vulnerability and my humor that it does help you see transformation as more accessible. You get to choose what to do with this book. If you want to go through the book, there are takeaways at the end of the chapters. There are playground areas at the back. If you want to just experiment or play around with your own change and transformation, if all you want to do is read the book and laugh at me along the way, then do that. It's totally up to you what you get out of this book. It's your choice. And where you are on your own path.
So, ladies and gentlemen, above, below, there's going to be the link to be able to purchase. And we appreciate you. Please like, follow, share, make comments so Rachel and I can respond. And let's just get the word so we can really get this book out to everybody. So, on that note, we wish you a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are listening in the world, and look forward to launching her book officially Tuesday, the 21st.
Bye,
Goodbye.